Yeah. Hi, welcome to another session of mock interviews with Ankit Jain. So this is me, Ankit Jain. So I'm a technical architect at an MNC. I'm 20x certified. I'm active in Salesforce events. This is my LinkedIn URL, so you can feel free to connect with me. And I will take just 2 seconds so that people can just scan it. So like to be updated on the future sessions, we have a WhatsApp community, so you can connect with us. And then in the group, we share the job openings, we share any upcoming Salesforce events like Salesforce as well. We share like even Slack events as well. And you can get any job openings as well, like we share wherever possible. So, and you can also ask your technical questions as well, like someone from the group will definitely try to answer your question. Okay. And this is like I just started the Instagram account for this mock interviews with Ankijan as well. So you can send the request, just your call. Not that much active as of now, just get started with that. And then talking about like this session is focused directly on the explain the service cloud projects. But another aspect to that is explaining your own self. Just 1 second. Yeah, so another part to that is explaining your own self, like what, like whenever like someone asks you, like give a brief introduction about yourself. So how should you answer that? So that one we have already recorded a session on mastering interviews video. So this is the QR code for that YouTube link. So you can feel free to connect with like watch that video. That would be the baseline, and then like this session would focus on like if you allow, like I would like to talk about the recent project which I worked on. So if you are comfortable with Service Cloud and have eventually worked on it, but you're not able to no, you're not you're unclear on how to explain it, this session is for you. Okay. So this is around like the topic for today, like explaining Service Cloud projects and interviews. So, and like to book the session with me, you can book it through TopMate, and then we have already recorded many sessions. So the last session we recorded was for the Sales Cloud project. So a Sales Cloud project, like it's already available on YouTube, so you can feel free to watch that. So this is the YouTube channel, and this is the QR code for that. So you can feel free to scan and watch that. There's like quick interview question series, there's a architect series, there's a beginner series, and there's a technical sessions as well.
What's
So
the name of the your YouTube channel? Maybe if you can tell me.
yeah, it's mock interviews with Ankit Jain. You can just scan this code and it will redirect you to that one. Okay, let me just move forward. Yeah, so like whenever like this is the actually systematic plan, like how your project should be like structured. This is a general guideline. So first, when you don't start with like I worked on this project and this was like I worked on an Apex class, it was doing that function. No, start with what is the business problem that you're trying to solve. Like for sales floor, it would be around like the was problem with the sales team, like the data was scattered and we were not able to get like multiple leads, like the leads sometimes like the same lead was being called multiple times, which reduced the efficiency of the team, something like that. And for service floor, it could be around like the customer experience was going down, the CSAT scores were low, there were too many complaints that have been raised, the first call resolution ratio was going down, something like that. It would be generic, like it's an industry problem, like yes, like this problem is happening. It won't be around epic stores and all of those things. You won't start with that. You will just start with the generic problem first. Then you will explain like how does the journey actually start, or why, from where the project actually starts, like what is the starting point. Then you talk about your role, like what are the things that you did, like you created the apex triggers, letting components and all of it. Then you can talk about any challenges that you faced. And impact, like it could be generic, like it reduced the time or it improved the CSAT score, something like that. And the most important part of this one is that you have to practice that storytelling. See, knowing the things means most companies, like you are once you are allotted a project, until that project gets over, like resource manager hardly changes your project. So you have like we all have worked on multiple projects end to end, but like we don't get the holistic picture. And you're not able to, when asked in the interviews, we face such challenges explaining that. So this challenge actually we are trying to address. So like we have taken a very simple example, a daily it's around the washing machine. So like we all have washing machines in our home. So we can, so I have taken that as the sample example. So you can start with like I worked on service cloud project, like it was for leading washing machine company. Like it could be anything. Like there are various companies that are another point. Never ever say the client name. You might say, what's the matter? What is the problem? See, all of our consulting companies actually have signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So to avoid any legal trouble, never say the client name. Just say like leading this company or leading paint industry, something like that. Okay. Now, how do I start? See, most service cloud projects actually start from the point like after the sales cloud implementation is done. So you can start while pitching in like see like the client has already implemented sales cloud project. So now like what the company noticed is like the service customer service experience was going down, CSAT was going down, customers were raising multiple complaints for the same thing, and the agent's productivity was going down because of that. And many times the SLAs were breaching, and which was causing us legal troubles. And agents were managers were not able to look into the productivity of the agents that they were going, it was going down. So all of these were the kind of business problems that the client was facing in. So for to overcome that, when the client we promoted Service Cloud to them, or we pitched a Service Cloud project to them. So you can tell about like what was your role. So you can talk about like I was a consultant or a developer, anything you can say. And then you can talk about like I was doing the automations, I was doing integration and all of it as per whatever stories was assigned to me. Okay. Now you can talk about the actual journey now. Like, see, what happens is like, suppose a customer purchases any washing machine, and the first step that we advise, like, we put in like a booklet which was around how to register warranty. So the customer actually does that. And then in the Salesforce, what we do is like in the backend, we create an asset record. Asset is an instant, like, just for your explanation, like, asset is a kind of instance of a product which is purchased. So asset has a lookup to product. So in the backend, like whenever the customer does that, customer registers the warranty, asset record is created and it's linked to that account and contact. Like it would be like a person, you might say it would be person account, then in person account as well, in the backend asset and account and contact, both records are getting created. And then whenever we do that, we also link the entitlement record. Entitlement is around like what kind of customer you are. Like suppose it could be gold, platinum, silver, something like that. Based on a different kind of entitlement, what the customer is, the SLAs differ. Is the whatever I'm saying in, are you up to speed or is it going too much fast?
Yeah, it's fine.
For all of you?
Yeah, it's fine, Ankit.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let me just go ahead with the next one. So you have told them panel how does the process starts? Like it starts with like registering the warranty. Then in the back end, like Salesforce related stuff, you're talking about like entitlements, you're talking about the asset records and all of it. Now what happens in the background is like suppose if there's any issue comes up on the machine, then what do we do? Like you can tell like there are various mechanisms like through which like the customer, we are allowing the customer to raise a case. One is like we're providing them an email ID like customer support at the rate xyz.com, something like that. So whenever a customer replies, sends an email to that, case is created. So utilizing email to case feature in this. So it's much more convenient. Second is like we are also planning, or you can say like this one actually is would depend like how much comfortable you are on the experience cloud. If suppose you are comfortable, then you can talk about it like where or the you can say like client is also planning to introduce a customer community portal so that the case deflection can happen. If suppose you don't know anything about the community, you can just say like the client has the pipeline. And if you know, then you will talk about like in the customers can log in into community and they can raise a case from there as well. We suggest the knowledge articles first so that the case deflection happens. This depends on whatever means how much comfortable you are. Okay. Then you can talk about like the phone, like whenever like the normal CTI, because CTI stands for customer yeah, telephonic integration. So I call it integration, I think, yeah. So what essentially it does is like your phone is actually connected to your Salesforce. The integration is happening. So whatever your the customer agent is hearing in, or whatever the details that are there in customer is conversations are actually visible to the agents. So they whenever suppose we do a call to like any customer service means any customer service agent, like suppose let it be like Airtel, or you can call it Jio, or any other telephony or any other product, the agents in the backend are able to see, like based on the phone number you have called, they're able to see like this is the person, this is a recent purchase that they made, or these are the products he has already purchased in the past. So they might ask you like for like is it around a new product or is it an existing product? Then you can say like it's existing product. So can they will might ask you to confirm the serial number and all of it, and they would tell you the simple ways of debugging first. I mean, it's not debugging, but solving the issue. Like suppose, like if it is a washing machine, you can just check. They might ask you to just check like whether the power is that button, power button is working fine or not. Can you try another switch? Something like that. Okay. So this is how the CTI actually works. Is everybody clear on how does a CTI work? A soft phone layout is therein, or is it no, like complex, or shall I explain in detail
Yeah, can you please give the overview, Ankit?
on CTI?
Yeah, CTI, yeah.
See, CTI actually, how does it work is, let me just see, like I have an org which has that set up or not. Let me just do it. I shall have, I think. I think I like the password has been recently changed. So I'm not able to show you that actually, but we'll see. Like later I can talk. Basically, CTI as it is screen, contains a soft phone. I will just do the Google search and you will be able to see like Genesis is there like hmm. Like this is a kind of your soft phone. I will just let me just close this and let's just like this. This is a CCP in which like the details of the customer are shown, like, and if you want to do a transfer or anything, the agent can do that. So this is a telephonic integration where it is like agent is able to make a call or receive a call and do the logging and all of it. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
so this is a simple thing. Normally it is like a daily, like we give that whatever we do with the toll-free number that we say, right? Like many companies offer like the toll-free number for contacting the customer support. So it's actually internally handled through the CTI only. Okay. It is a very important part of our service cloud. Mostly there are managed packages to manage these, but just to give an overview. Now other things clear?
I know one of the CTI tools I worked with called Air Call. You know
Sorry, call?
Air Call.
Okay, air call, yeah. Air call is another like a CTI only, I guess. I think I've heard about it, I guess. Yeah, air call is again like a CTI only. It's a CTI. Managed package is available. So these are just a telephony net, no, like it could be anything. There are various vendors available in the market. The telephony that you see or the soft phone that you see, that is essentially like denoting like a CTI integration has been done. Okay. Are we clear on this?
Yes.
Okay. So we will first talk about like the problem you told, like means you business problem you explained. Then you told about like how does the journey start? This journey starts like the customer registers the warranty. Then in the back end we create the asset records and link it to the appropriate account and contact, and we link it to the right entitlement record as well. And then we talk about like what are different ways like the customer can raise a case. Okay. Now what happens is like suppose there's a like to overcome like now the whatever you said in the business problem, like there were multiple cases being raised. So you can tell like to overcome those things, like what we have done is like we implemented flows and we have added the logic. Like if there's the same case that is raised, then it would check like means whenever a case is coming in or the customer calls in, they would check like against that contact for that same asset. If the case is already exists, then they won't create that. Otherwise, it would just create a new case for that, or would notify the customer like this has been already raised and these are the further updates, something like that. So here you're just explaining to the panel like, yes, I know flows and we have implemented this kind of logic. So the panel would know like, yes, he knows flows. In the first one, you have explained to him like you know the basic features of Service Cloud, like the email to case is a very important functionality. You know about the important objects like asset as well, person account or a business account things you're telling him. Essentially, the intent of explaining the project in detail is like the panel is able to understand like whatever the important things that you already know. So this is like just to this scenario I have mentioned just to for like you the panel would know like yes you know about flows. Essentially, it is like suppose I called in the morning 8 a.m. to the customer service, tell them like this is the problem. Okay. And the case was created. Now at 4 p.m. again, I thought like let me just raise another complaint with the same number and everything same. So like instead of creating a new one, I had a logic in place which where I'm checking like against that same asset and the same phone number that a case already exists. Then I give a warning or I show something to the customer agent so that the customer can be conveyed that a case already exists for that, something like that. Are you clear on the scenario?
Yes. So Ankit, like I have point. So entitlement rules would not be beneficial at this point when the case
Entitlement comes into picture in your terms of your SLAs.
SLA is because SLA is about to breach and then to
No,
warn.
no, 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 no. The way entitlement works is like suppose you there's actually in the entitlement there are various options, like there are various milestones actually that are configured. I will show you that in one of the org. Like I think I have like one org where entitlements are actually created. Some sample one, obviously not the real ones. So like entitlement, like when the case exists, then there are like some milestones that I've created. Like first milestone is like when the case is created or the case status is new, then what needs to happen. When the first milestone, then you define the actions under that. Like okay, when that is completed, you can configure different time triggers. Like after 30 minutes of creation of that, or once that is like 30 days met, then what do we do? And if it is violated, what do we do? So there is various configurations that are available for the entitlement process. Okay, this is just the high level, like entitlement process explanation. We'll have to take a separate session on that. This is just to give you an overview around like how do you explain the Service Cloud project. Okay,
Okay.
uh, so this is how it works. Okay, so here we mentioned around like to avoid the repeat complaints. Then the next thing is like now it's comes the entitlement. Like see whenever case is created, like we check what is the actual entitlement, like whether he is a platinum customer, so the case has to resolve within 3 hours. Like if it is like sales was also actually, suppose you have a premium plan, then the case with SLA is around 8 hours. If it is like a regular customer, then it's like around 24 hours. So the SLAs differ as per like what kind of entitlement you have. In that you set up the first response resolution and all of it. So you can just mention it verbally to the panel like, yes, we have configured those and we do this. And whenever that case is raised, then we enable the omni-channel. In omni-channel, we define the routing, like we have enabled skill-based routing. And then we have created the user agent records. And then we have used most active algorithm. So these things, when you talk about, then the panel would understand, like, the omni-channel configuration. But he might ask you in further details, like in the backend, what kind of record that you have done or where you have configured it, whether you have done it via Apex or you use the omni-channel flow. Those kind of questions might come up. So whenever you're explaining a part, make sure like you know it to the core details. Okay. Now you could not, like in this explanation so far, like what we have not touched is around the LWC. So what you can say is like, suppose the customer calls in the agent and tell them like, I need to contact the customer service, then where should I go? So you can say like, I created an LWC component. So based on the details the customer would be telling me, the agent will enter that, and then corresponding to that, the agent will be able to see the nearest location and would give this information to the customer and then create the case, close the case. So here you're telling the panel like, yes, I know LWC. He might ask you like, what you used, whether you used Lightning Map, or for geocoding, what you used, whether you used Google, this one, Google geocoding, or you use some other mechanisms. Because while you're explaining him the panel these things, obviously he is able to relate to whatever you're saying, and so in the back end he will be able to try to think like, if I were to develop this, what would be my thoughts, or what would be like, what are the important things to know about this. Okay, what I'm saying is making sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now the next part is like your is like, then you can tell about like the agents are utilizing the service console also with the CTS, so they're able to see the different objects like your contact, asset, entitlement, and they're also able to see the knowledge articles, because if the customer calls them like, to know about, like if they don't have the working knowledge, then they can search and then provide the resolution to the customer on the go, right? So whenever a calls would come in, the call would the customer support executives would accept or reject the case. They can update the cases and update the notes. So those things I mentioned, and then this is around the same experience cloud thing. If you know, you can talk about this. Otherwise, you can just say like, the client has further plans to introduce experience cloud, or where like a case deflection would happen, so that the volume of cases would reduce. Okay. Like, are you able to map to whatever I'm saying in?
Yes, Ankit.
So this was it. Like if you talk about till this point as well, it would be like a quite decent explanation that you would be able to provide to the panel, and he would be actually be asking much more counter questions. Like Service Cloud is actually too much vast. So there are immense possibilities. Even like, if you are well comfortable, you have worked on macros, then you can even mention that like, where to speed up the productivity, you also created few macros for the agents so they can just use that to update the details. How many of you have actually worked on the Service Cloud? Yeah, you can raise your hand or do something so that I know. Okay. Like, okay. So you would be able to understand the things better compared to others. So these are the only things like while you have to take care while explaining things. Yeah, I just recap. We started with explaining the business problem. We got with the explaining the role, like what is the role you were doing in. Then you talk about how the journey starts. Start with registering the warranty. Then in the backend, what is happening as it is created, it's like getting linked to entitlement process and all of it. Then you're talking about what are different channels through which the case creation is happening in. Then you talk about like what are the flow additional logic that you have handled. Like if the same cases come, repeat duplicate cases creating, how do you do that? Then you're talking about like the SLAs, like you have different entitlement. As for different entitlement, there are different SLAs in place. And then you're talking about the routing. Like Omni-Channel is a very core ability in any Service Cloud project or any vacancy specific to Service Cloud. You are expected to know Omni-Channel. If you don't know Omni-Channel, you have not used Service Cloud, I would say. Okay. Then this LWC is very simple. Then you can talk about the CTI integration, like what are different tabs. Then knowledge articles also you can talk about. Then there might be another point that the panel would might ask you, like in the knowledge articles, like what do we, like suppose the search is going down or like the right results are not coming up. What can you do? You can say like you can actually create topics. You can check for the data category mapping and then see like make sure like the synonyms and are configured so that the accuracy increases. So those kind of core details might also come up.
But if the interviewer asks like the chatbots and agent force, how they can be beneficial in the service cloud implementation, how to explain that?
See, when they're talking about like for the Einstein bot, see, as an Einstein bot, what it essentially does is like you have a dialogue created under that. There are different topics that you assign, like static you put in. Like if it is related to orders, then you create an action like which will uh, show the up, like you will call an apex and show them the result. Like yes, the order status is this. It's more kind of fixed. But when they're talking about agent force, tell them like the agent force, the advantage is like whenever the for right now, like all the means whenever a question or whenever a agent means customer tries to contact the agent or raises a case, and all interactions are happening and going to the our service agent. But instead of that, like if few of the things are very straightforward, like suppose the customer wants to know the case status, then instead of going it to the agent, like we can automate this and we can just agent, like we can have like a action created in our we can have the topics created under that topic. Will create a action which will based on whatever the user is asking in, they would be able to know like yes, they is asking like the order status, so we can create an action based on that, and our apex action would get called where we will be returning the order status or even the case status we can mention. So these kind of possibilities you have to just give an overview. Agent force, to be very fair, they won't ask you into that much detail. They might ask you just what is an agent force, like how do you configure it, overall how does it work. I don't expect it Einstein bot, like they might go, but that also is like very typical. Normally, because it is like a specific configuration that you will have to do for. Okay, yeah. Any questions specifically? Like I see her as a hand raised, so just want to be cautious. Like Is your questions all the questions answered or anything is pending?
Hi Ankit. What more questions can be asked by interview like for regarding that Omni channel?
Omni-channel, they would ask you like how do you configure it? What are different algorithms that are there? And then they might ask you around like pending service request. How do you handle that? How do you configure like the user agent? How do you create a skill? What is the math difference means? What is the relationship between user and skill? Whether it is one to one, it is one to many, or is it many to many? Then they might ask you around like if this is the kind of requirement, like they would give you a scenario like it should instead of assigning it to the doing skill-based routing, we want it to be round robin or queue-based. How do you do that configuration? They might also ask you around like presence status configuration as well, like where we configure the different status values.
I get like so. I don't know like whether it is a relevant question or not, but they might ask like web to case how to configure that in the Experience Cloud community pages.
This question would come, means this is a very simple thing and like, yeah, it is kind of relevant, but I would say like we're talking about like a service cloud directly. This, if it was around the case object, then we can say like it is related to this topic, but like this one, I would actually like to take it up in the experience cloud session. We have already recorded that, and web to case is like very simple configuration. You already know like what are the fields that we need, and just you get the HTML already in place. You just embed it, right? So it's very straightforward. But yeah, there are actually various types of interview questions that can be asked. So few of them we have already recorded, and few are already like if you're just looking to specifically, uh, one second, let me just check like if any. Sorry, this candidate PPT will not be available, but you can have the recording available. Uh, yeah, I was saying around, yes, like the whatever are the interview questions that you're talking about. So I already have a playlist around like quick interview questions. So it already has many things covered. So you can watch that. It covers few of them are miscellaneous, few of them are specific. So you can watch and accordingly let me know. Okay.
Ankit,
Yeah.
could you explain about how to explain about Salesforce Service Cloud voice?
Service
It
Cloud
is related to
Voice.
CTI only.
Service Cloud Voice is actually a CTA only. It's like, but there are various options under that. Like Service Cloud Voice with Amazon Connect, Service Cloud Voice with Partner Telephony, Service Cloud Voice with your Amazon bundle. Each of them has different capabilities, limited, like there's a difference in capabilities. So, like Partner Telephony offers you much more flexibility.
Okay,
Bundle application is like its native integration, but it's like some features of the key capabilities I feel is missing in. I mean, in my project, we're utilizing Service Cloud Voice with Amazon Connect bundle only. So we know about the limitation part of it.
okay.
Okay.
Ankit, like I have a question. So most of the time when a user call us on the CTA integrated tool, then the related cases, accounts and contacts just pop up on the screen to the agent, customer service agent.
Yeah,
So they might may-
this capability should be out. Means there are two options. Like first is like it could be happen automatically as well depending on your CTI. Suppose I assume it is a very custom implementation. Then what you can do is like you can create an omni-channel flow, I mean. Like you can create a screen pop-up under that. You will have to get the records, like you have the voice call ID, under that you have the recipient ID as well as like the what do you call? There are two IDs. One is the caller ID and other is recipient ID. So you'll have the phone number. So will have like you will have to get that record like contact or person account, and then you will have to mention that in your screen pop-up component, which you get in the omni-channel flow. Then you would be able to open that. See, the normal behavior is like whenever a customer makes a call, like in the Service Cloud voice, the voice call detail page opens up. But suppose you want to open the particular record, then you will have to configure that in your omni-channel flow. Through that, it will be possible. Okay.
Because with air call, like it was possible to receive the call and simultaneously all the related
Yeah.
cases
Yeah,
for
that
that
is like in
contact.
your soft phone, like you can configure that. It all depends how much is the sophisticated is your CCP.
Okay.
So there are various things under this, like, and we are already kind of running over the time.
Ankit, what are the areas we can say about asynchronous effects in Service Cloud?
Asynchronous Apex and the Service Cloud. So see, in any Apex you can have like asynchronous, like talking about mm, like sending email after the case is created. Like instead of whenever cases status is updated, like it is like suppose the case is closed, then sending it via email like regular as a record triggered flow, immediate action is one option. But you can also have it as asynchronous, or you can configure it in the flow itself. Other specific use cases like Service Cloud actually are possible, but like it's not able to means it's difficult to relate to at this runtime, I would say. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, then like we'll just stop the recording now.